So let's go back to Hunan Po and make sure we have that image that there's these two oceans that become rivers, that become streams, that become more and more specific. One is made of water, and eventually it becomes a drop of water, which you could say is your paw. And then there's all this light from this ocean of light bouncing off of clouds and becoming rainbows and things until it becomes just the right reflection or sparkle or something of light that is now inside of you and moving through you. The uniqueness is important, but the fact that we all share these oceans is also important. So when we think of the Hun, that ocean of soul, spirit, consciousness, the potential of consciousness, what I think Jung used to call the collective unconscious, there's a lot in there. And some people describe that as race memory, as cultural memory. And this is an important thing to consider historically, because each of us is, kind of the byproduct or the outcome of countless generations of people. And depending on their cultures, their needs, their beliefs, their aversions, their desires, we come into being with a kind of narrow stream, and a narrower stream, until we become that drop. And that creates also our needs. So when we have these deep kind of implicit yearnings in life, they're often coming from that Hun, which has some cultural context that sometimes we have to negotiate with a little bit. So there's three things that we want to pay attention to with your Hun. It brings your sense, what we call character, in the sense of, how solid of an individual you are in the world, or perhaps how sketchy of an individual you might, have been or might still be exploring. Character is, about how, you could say, mature and ethical we are in some sense. It also can connect with what modern psychology would consider characteristics, traits, personality, disorders, or other things that very much define how it is that we experience the world. And in a similar way, astrology attempts to describe people being born at different months, different years, things like that, coming into being with a sense of volition, like this is what I'm here to be. And astrology's sometimes kind of freakishly accurate, so it's worth paying attention to in some ways. So Hun also brings the ability to gather and apply our intelligence, not in the sense of how smart you are, but how able you are to learn and be more effective in some ways. It's also the aspect of us that's willing to feel our feelings. And this is a big part of Chinese medicine, what we call emotional intelligence. We all often think our feelings first, or think about our feelings before we really feel them raw in their deep emotional, instinctual nature. So when we come into that awareness of emotional intelligence, the Hun kind of decides based on your gifts and limits how available you are to feeling. And that doesn't mean it's bound in stone. It means you might start with a little, or you might start with too much. And somewhere in the middle of that, you will find just the right amount of emotional intelligence for your life and how you live and who you are. We often say that the liver guides the Hun, or more precisely kind of aims the Hun like a bow and arrow or something. So your liver is a part of your present self, it's part of the present world, and it's a part of your sense of purpose. And so when you aim your purpose, what's behind your purpose is your ancestors, the collective unconscious, all of the gifts and limits that come in that way. So when either the Hun itself isn't deeply connected to our lives, lots of reasons, when perhaps the liver as a system of physiology and function isn't doing so well, then we see a lack of Hun coming into the world, a lack of our sense of connection and resource with spirit. So people often feel aimless, dispassionate, depressed, sometimes even suicidal. And there's so many things we can do to sort that out and to create better connection. When we think of this in the modern context, my favorite analogy is we all learn to drive with one of our parents beside us, or maybe in the back seat. And when we're driving around at 15 or 16 and trying it out for the first time, we don't know how to drive. We're learning how to drive. But our parent, or perhaps our driving instructor, is the one who kind of shouts, hey, watch out for that, don't forget your signals, and all the rules of driving. And in a way, that's good to be connected with. And in a way, it's also what dreams are kind of understood to mean. So if your dream life is very full of vivid imagery and clear messages, then you could say the backseat driver of your ancestor Shorhun is trying to help you reset the course of how you're living your life. So one of the reasons I'm doing this is just to share something I found profoundly beautiful and kind of useful in about 30 years of clinical practice helping people. I'm teaching a course called Qingzhibing, or Embodied Psychotherapy, Spiritual Recapitulation, and Traditional Chinese Medicine. And I'll be offering more of these presentations between now and January to give people a sense of what it's all about. But if you are interested in Chinese medicine, acupuncture, herbology, meditation, shamanism, Taoist practice, Zen practice, and you're aware that maybe understanding a little bit about healing minds, healing hearts, healing souls might support your practice, then I would encourage you to look into that course. If that doesn't feel like the place you want to go, there are other courses that I offer on Qigong. Some are just a week long, some are 10 weeks long, some are commitments to learn to be a teacher and things like that. So if you're interested in that, get a hold of me as well. And I also just started a Substack. So if you're on any of my email lists, you're probably starting to get those. And if you want to connect with me through there, please do, because the more I can engage with people, support people with information and what I have to offer, and people can support me enough, then I'm working in clinic less, and I'm writing books more, and I'm offering courses more. So I'm hoping to create that reciprocity as well. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you're well. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. And yeah, this whole thing is kind of sacred. And that changes everything. So have a great day.